Hey, thanks for stopping by. As you saw the title, today I'm going to give you a review on my 2023 Can-Am Defender HD10 Limited. So I've had this Defender for exactly a year now. It's got a little over 2,000 miles on it. I've pretty much found everything I can do with it. What I can't do with it, I found everything I like about it and everything I don't like about it. So I'm going to tell you about it. So to start the video off, I'm going to walk around the machine with you and I'm going to show you what I've done to the machine. And then we'll kind of go in depth on pieces here and there. So as I told you, this is a 2023 Can-Am Defender HD10. It does say HD9 and it does say XT because these plastics are off my previous model Defender, which was an HD9 XT. They don't make a two-door black Limited, so when I bought the 2023 blue Limited, I took this stuff off, traded the plastics out. A lot easier than buying new plastics again. So great unit so far. We're going to go over what I've got done to it and then we'll go in depth on each thing. So I've got a 15 by 7 Sedona Sano beadlocks on it, 32 by 9.5 GBC Mongrel SQ. The Mongrels have been out for a long time, but these SQs just came out last year. They're kind of a squared off tire, little truck terrain looking thing. Yeah, they do okay. You know, I mainly just gravel road ride this thing and easy trails, so they're fine. I did add some LED lights up here on the bumper. The bumper has plenty of pre-drilled holes for either a light bar or lights. On the last one I did a light bar. This time I wanted the pod look, you know, like kind of like a pre-runner thing, which is cool because I have the outside ones like pointed out and you know, you got some fronts. I changed the wire rope that these Can-Am Defender winches come with to a synthetic rope. I just used an Amazon one with a Rough Country Fair lead. Well, I did have a Rough Country rope on it first and I broke it and it was my fault. I did add some shock therapy tie rods on the, you know, the suspension. And I only did that just because I wanted the peace of mind that I wouldn't break a tie rod or something out on the trail. I added these seismic mirrors. You know, they look okay. They're not the best looking thing, but I can see behind me now. It does have fender flares. These are OEM fender flares. I have the wide front ones and sport rear ones. These wide front ones I did trim. They kind of go down here and create like a, you know, yeah, a little wall. I trimmed that. I didn't really like the way they looked. But I did need fender flares because these HD10s are kind of wide. And as you can see, the tires would stick out. And I didn't want to throw mud and dirt and stuff and water all over my windows because I want to be able to roll them down when I'm trail riding. Yeah, out back, I don't really have anything done back here. Everything is still stock. I did put a nice little chainsaw mount that I built for the bed there. Interior, obviously the thing's tinted. I got it tinted when I got it. Interior's pretty much, yeah, all stock. I added some floor mats to it. Yeah, you might say, why would you put floor mats in a side-by-side? Well, when you get these things covered in mud, when you're in and out of it all day, it is so nice to just pull the floor mats out, shake them off, or power wash them rather than having to power wash your cab out. I added Swamp Donkey overhead audio and it sounds real nice. Yeah, I wrote it earlier and I left it on, so good thing I did this video because it was still on, probably draining my battery. I bought this buggy mainly to use for work purposes, to do some trail riding, to haul firewood, haul chainsaws. We can ride these things on county roads around here and into the local town, so we ride it a lot. But being that I bought it for work purposes, it needed to have a good bed, and this thing's got a really nice bed. It's really big. The tailgate, you know, it's got this nice latch here. It works, you know, pretty good. The bed does have some nice bucket spots for buckets here in the front. It's all cut out. That's pretty nice. It has all these nice stake pockets. Works pretty good overall. You know, I do like the bed. It dumps. It's not electric. You can get electric, but it just has the handle right there. So I told you guys that I mainly bought this thing for work, also for trail riding, and we only take it trail riding maybe, you know, 2 or 3 times a year on like some good trails. We've taken it to Royal Blue twice, and I took my other one to Windrock, and yeah, they're pretty fun on the trails. So that being said, we've taken it to some decent trails, and you know, it's not like we ride it hard by any means, but the trails I've taken it on have definitely been a test for parts on this machine, and so far I haven't had anything break. I haven't had any axles break. All the stock suspension still doesn't have any cracks in it, no bends, which is saying something. I mean, it's like I said, it's not like we've rode it really hard, but I feel like there's definitely some stuff that if I was going to bend A-arms or break them, I probably would have already done it by now. Also, while we're talking about it, the suspension on this machine for a utility side-by-side, I think is really great. It just has the stock shocks that came on it. They're turned all the way to the stiff setting, and there's been several days where I've spent 8 to 12 hours riding this thing on decently rough trails. You know, it's not like they were smoothed with a road grader, but they weren't, you know, just washboard. They're decent, and I think the suspension in this thing is really good. You know, it's no sport buggy, but for what it is, I'm happy with it. I'll say that. I think one common question I always see in comments or on Can-Am Defender pages, people looking for feedback, is they want to know, how good is this cab? Like, is it automotive grade? Is it going to keep the dust out? Does the heat keep up? Does the air keep up? Is it worth spending $10,000 to get a cab? And I'm going to answer those questions. So for starters, the Defender Limited comes with a full glass cab and a tip out windshield, which is super nice. As you can see, it tips out. It also has a vented position and a power windshield wiper, which is actuated right up here. So for me, that is totally worth it. I love the glass windshield. You can plow through water and snow, and I mean, I wouldn't plow through mud and try and wipe mud away. It'll just scratch the windshield, but you can plow through some stuff and the wiper just keeps up. The glass doesn't really scratch. If you want to go slow and you want, you know, all the air, you can flip it open. If you're just cruising and there's no dust and you want a nice breeze, you can put it to the vented position. I love the glass windshield. If I didn't have a full cab, like I had an open cab again, I'd probably spend all the money and buy this. Even though it's really expensive, I think it's totally worth it. The back is glass. Yeah, that's great. I've had the poly ones on my last one, like the plastic. It's fine too, so I'm not gonna rave about the back. The doors on this thing and the heat and air, so the cab part, I think it's really good. The doors close nicely. We've got power windows here. The power windows, you know, I think work good. They're not the fastest thing, they work pretty nice. One thing I do love about having the full cab option is in the summertime, usually I really don't ever use the air condition unless it's really dusty. Usually I just have the windows down and I'll have the windshield open or the windshield vented. But I love these doors, how in the wintertime you can roll them up and you go full doors, or in summertime, I mean, this is pretty much just a half door. Like the Can-Am factory half doors are these skins, and you know, they don't have the top. But yeah, it looks like a half door. Love it. The doors seal up really nice. There is adjustment right in here on the pin of how tight you want it to seal, but I'm pushing on it right now and you've got to push really hard to see any sort of daylight through there. I've driven this thing when it's negative 20 degrees and I don't ever feel like any drafts through here. I've driven it when it's poured rain, and yeah, they don't really leak here. They do leak back here in the corners. There is a little, yeah, you can see light through there, but it's not going to be perfect. It's a side-by-side. The windshield seals up really nice. In the bottom corner down here, there is a little air gap, a little one. If it was pouring rain like really hard, you might get a little sprinkles in, just being honest with you. As far as how does it heat up, like I said, in the winter, I've driven it when it's negative 20 degrees and the heat will burn you out. In the summertime, the air condition, I feel like it works pretty good. When we went riding on the 4th of July, it was hot. It was probably 90, 95 degrees, and there were several times where it was really dusty. We closed everything up, had the air condition on, and never did we like feel cold in the cab, but you definitely get out and you're like, wow, it is much hotter outside, and you notice that the air conditioner really is working. So it's definitely a comfortable temperature, in the cab with the air conditioning on. As far as dust, yeah, you can drive this thing with the air on. It kind of pressurizes the cab. You can drive this thing and follow a group of 4 or 5 buggies that are all just kicking up dust where you can hardly see in front of you. And I want to say we had minimal dust in here, if any. I'm going to say no dust, but there might have been, you know, a smidge. So the cab definitely seals up nice for driving in dust. And if you're driving down gravel roads and stuff, you don't get any dust in here at all with the cab open. So yeah, the heat works really nice. Usually in the wintertime, I only have it set on 70, and I'll have the blower fan on low. You never really have to turn it up. It's pretty warm. It will burn you out. The air condition, I would say the air condition most of the time is probably on medium, and you know, it's turned down the temperature, but it's not going to, it's definitely going to take the chill off in here. You're not going to sweat or anything, but it's not going to like freeze you out like, you know, a brand new car might. So, but like I told you before, in the summertime, I don't really use the air condition, if ever. The only time I ever use it if it's really dusty and I want to roll the windows up. So the air condition isn't a really big seller for me, but if you want it, it is there. All right, since we are talking about the cab and stuff, I will just show you. I think the cab is really comfortable. Seats are nice and bolstered. They're pretty comfy. Like I told you, I've ridden in this thing for 10-12 hours a day, and it doesn't leave me like hurting at the end of the day. At the end of the day, am I ready to take a break? Yes, but after hour 6, I'm not like, get me out of this thing. It has a nice display here. You know, I know it's hard to see with the light. It's got the vents, you know, vents all across the dash. There's defrost up there, and there's a couple vents down there. On the heat and air condition, this is going to be one of my only complaints with the machine, and it's not a complaint, it's just kind of too technical for me. So this is how the heat and air is operated. It has this little module right here, and hopefully you'll be able to see. There's a little button here that turns it on and off. So I'm going to turn it on, and it's on heat, 69 temperature, fan speed low. You can change the temperature you want it to set to there. To change the modes, you push in on this, you go heat, you can go heat, auto, or cool. So that's kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of, it's hard to do if you're riding and it's bumpy. And then you can change the fan speeds here. I always just use low. Then you're back, it tells you heat, fan speed, temperature there. I don't know, for me, in a side-by-side, I just prefer the knobs. Like, just give me like a hot and cold, a fan speed. Just keep it simple. Like, even in my truck, it has like dual climate control and all that. I don't like that. I just like knobs. So I get what they're trying to do with this. It makes it more compact, but I just prefer knobs, but it works. Also, while we're in here, I do love the storage of this cab. It has the glove box, toolbox here, and this also pulls out and removes like so you can take it with you, which I have 2 of these. One of them I keep all my chainsaw stuff and tools in it. That way when I go cut wood, I can just take that out and I have all my wedges and stuff. And then I have one that's empty that I use for like trail riding and stuff, and that one we'll put snacks in and stuff. It's got nice cup holders there, nice cup holders in the center here. It has storage under the seat here, a box there which also pulls out and you can take with you, and then it has storage under the seat there too, and you can pull that one out and take it with you too. Lots and lots of storage. So overall, this thing has been great to me. Like I told you, I've got 109 hours on it now, 2,000 miles, and the only thing I've had to do is change the oils and then, you know, grease it. I haven't had any other problems with it. No real complaints. I would definitely buy one again. Like I told you earlier, I came from a sport buggy before this. I had a couple Razors, an X3, and then I had an HD10 that I traded for this. But if you were buying one of these and you wanted to trail ride it, I would say that if you're gonna do easy trails or moderate, if you're gonna do moderate trails and you're a really good driver, this thing can definitely handle it. If you're not that good of a driver and you drive a sport buggy, you're gonna feel terrible in this because it is definitely gonna feel top heavy. It doesn't have suspension like the other buggies do. You really have to be a good driver if you're gonna drive this on anything but, you know, easier trails. But I will say that when I had the X3 and the Razors, those buggies, when I was out on the trail in them, those things gave me confidence because I could drive wherever I wanted. There wasn't a trail that I really couldn't handle on my X3. And when I drive this buggy, this one gives me confidence in a different way, and that is, there's no weather that I can't handle in this. You know, when you have a sport buggy or you don't have a cab, you see some clouds and you're like, boy, I hope it doesn't rain. Maybe you go on a trip in January or something, you're like, oh man, I hope it's not windy or it's not cold. This thing, doesn't matter what the weather is. I'm just as happy if it's 0 degrees and it's windy, or if it's 100 degrees and it's humid. Doesn't really matter with this. So yes, I can't do all the trails that I could before when I had an X3 or a Razor, but I can handle any sort of weather condition just fine. This thing has so much storage that you can bring plenty of drinks and snacks and tools or whatever else you might need out on the trail or wherever you're going. And it just inspires confidence in a different way. So I think you probably understand what I'm talking about. So as I mentioned before, I'm very happy with it. I have no intention of trading it or getting rid of it anytime soon. If you are looking for a buggy that meets the things I've talked about, you know, you want something that's really good for work, you want something that's comfortable, you want something you can ride all year round, you want something you can do some trail riding on, these things are pretty hard to beat. That'll do it for this one. If you have any questions or comments or anything else, leave them in the comments and I'll answer them. See you next time. I hope you have a great day.